With that as our backdrop, let's get started. Coach Herrion, we're Zooming. We're together. Everybody's happy.
Wonderful, Murph. It's great. Jack, Danny, thanks for joining in and helping with this. First of all, let me just, I want to, just make sure that everybody is obviously safe, healthy, and, we're going through this, and it's been a real test, as we all know. The thought process behind doing this Zoom tonight was I thought just a way to maybe take a break from all our, stay-at-home guidelines and social distancing. And I thought maybe we could just take a break and maybe just, talk some basketball. Want to let you know where our program is at. We're still here. We're still working during this pandemic. So I just, any question that you have in regards to UNH basketball, I'll try to answer it, the best that I can. It's, and everything that I'm going to say, please take it where we totally know what's going on in this world right now. And there's a lot of people out there that we know are really, really struggling. I think obviously our doctors, our nurses, our frontline healthcare people, they're the real heroes, through this whole thing that we're going through. And hopefully sometime soon, we hope we're all going to get back to some kind of what we call a normal life. I think the life that we have all enjoyed. So when I talk about, we aren't able to do things with our basketball program, please don't take that like I'm not trying to, I just want to let you know how we're trying to function. I think, as coaches with our team, with our players, to try to keep the program going. It's really funny. It's, it seems like our last game was in the first round of the conference tournament, when we lost down at UMBC on, I want to say it was March 5th. We got back from Baltimore, and on that Monday, it was our last week of classes before we were going to spring break. And on that Monday, we had a team meeting, kind of an end of the season before they go to spring break meeting, and we talked about what we were going to do once we got back from spring break with our spring workouts. And then literally 2 days later, when the NBA, when the big kid Gobert, tested positive, and then they shut down all the NCAA tournaments, obviously things changed quickly. So, here we are. All of our players are obviously at home. They're all safe. They're all healthy. This whole Zoom thing for me, I'm not going to lie to you, a positive for me is I'm not a real technological guy, but this has really opened up my world, in our world of recruiting and connecting with our players while they're away. We Zoom with our team 1 day a week, just to make sure they're doing okay, just to stay connected, really more importantly academically, because everything in our world now from an academic standpoint has gone online, has gone remote learning. And UNH, we're not a real online school, so that's been a real challenge as well. So, we're doing well. It was a different spring with the recruiting. We're fortunate we got 3 players signed and committed, and it was all done through Zoom. So, here we are, and it's. I hope we can take about a 45-minute break away from our world and just kind of talk some basketball. So, any questions? We'd love to have you ask questions. We will try to be as upfront, honest, and we'll answer them. So, Murph, if you want to.
Sure. Yeah, and again, to ask questions, feel free to use the chat function. Andrew already has. His first question, Coach, is what are your plans for the 4th scholarship for 2020?
Yeah, Andrew, right now we're going to have to put that on hold. I think, one thing that's coming out of what we're going through, obviously not just at UNH, with everybody, it's a tragic situation, the economic impact, I think, that everybody's going through right now. So I think what we're going to have to do with our program is we're going to have to help the cause a little bit, so to say, just within our athletic department from a budget standpoint. We usually play 3 what are called guarantee money games every year, where we go play an upper level team. They pay us. That money goes to the budget. It's just to help the overall athletic budget. We're going to have to play a 4th guarantee game this year. I have no problem with that. That's anything. I think we all as coaches at UNH have to look at this year as whatever we can do to help the university and the athletic department, we have to do. And right now, Andrew, we're going to be down one scholarship going into next year. So right now, we're not going to use the fourth scholarship.
How about the guys that you have brought in? I mean, you have the transfer, Taylor Matos, and then the two signings and KJ McClurg and Quan Murphy. What can you tell us about each of those guys, what they bring to the program?
Yeah, we really like our team that we have coming back. I thought we made great strides this year. We went from 5 to 15 wins. We were picked last in the preseason coaches poll last year. Not that preseason polls, whether you picked first or last, all they say is, what do the other coaches in the league think of your team? We finished in a tie for fourth in the America East. So I thought, when you come off of 5 wins with everybody returning, sometimes that's good and bad. But we were very young that year before. We played a lot of young guys, and I think that paid dividends this past year with this team. So with basically our whole team returning, our 3 scholarships that we used in the spring, and all of our recruiting was done through Zoom. KJ McClurg is a 6'3", 6'4" combo guard out of Morgantown, West Virginia. He's a high school kid. He goes to University High School, very successful program in Morgantown. Won the state championship as a junior. They were in line to win it this year as a senior until everything got shut down. We made a decision about a year ago with our recruiting, and I think it paid off this year. We felt that we needed to get bigger on the perimeter. Josh Hopkins is going to be a senior next year. He's had a good career for us. He's 6'4", 6'5". He'll be 1,000-point scorer when his career's over next year. And then obviously Sean Sutherland, which was a much, we didn't know what we were getting when we got Sean. He's a junior college kid, and he had a terrific year. So when you have, Josh Hopkins at 6'4", 6'5", Sean Sutherland at 6'5", and then Marquis Maltsby, who's about 6'2", 6'3", as a big point guard, we felt we had to get bigger both offensively and defensively. And KJ McClurg is 6'3", 6'4". And then we brought in 2 transfers. We felt that this was a year, if there was ever a year for us to bring in and be able to sit a couple of players out, it was this year. We obviously got Taylor Matos, who's an in-state kid from Kearsarge High School. We tried to recruit Taylor 2 years ago out of high school. He ended up going to Bowling Green out in the Mid-American Conference, very good basketball conference. Taylor spent 2 years at Bowling Green. He's all a 6'11". He's got great size. He's got great skill. Bowling Green has been very, very good the last 2 years. He did start 30 out of 32 games this year as a sophomore and averaged about 5 points and 5 rebounds. So he's a kid coming in with some numbers. And then we took another transfer, Quan Murphy, who's a 6'5" guard out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that went to Houston Baptist. He went into the transfer portal. He averaged about 7.5 a game at Houston Baptist. He can play 3 different positions on the perimeter. So both Taylor Matos and Quan Murphy will have to sit out next year, which is great. That's what we wanted. KJ McClurg will come in as a freshman and have a chance to get on the floor and play.
All right, a lot of questions have been coming in, Coach. Next one I have is, has the NCAA put any restrictions or changes as far as recruiting and contacting players using Zoom or other internet applications?
No, what we are allowed to do, thank God, is Zoom. And it's really interesting. We had been recruiting KJ McClurg since about maybe December or January. And I think the staff did a great job. We had a great relationship with him. He was supposed to make an official visit to our campus the week that we got back from spring break. It was all set. It was all arranged. And obviously everything shut down. So when we met with him and his family on Zoom, they really liked everything that and we had been recruiting him for a while. And one of the questions that the mom and dad asked is, we really love everything you're saying, but, we'd love to see the school. And, obviously that normally happens on an official visit. So what I did probably a month and a half ago on a Saturday, Sunday morning, I just got in my car and went over to campus, and it was obviously nobody there. It was, a ghost town. And I took my cell phone and I just walked to the campus, and I made my own cell phone video as if we were walking a recruit around the campus, showing them the different buildings, the dining hall. Obviously, we couldn't go in anywhere. And the staff put the Zoom film together, and that was our virtual kind of campus tour. And we did that with Taylor Matos, and we did that with Quan Murphy. And fortunately, it worked out great for us.
A lot of questions coming in, Coach, about late spring, summer school, safety for the kids. So can we kind of go through how you're adjusting there with making sure the kids are working out and also precautions to make sure they're safe?
Yeah. Oh, here's what I'll say is this is funny. I'm going to be going into my 30th year as a Division I head coach. I spent 10 years as an assistant coach in Division III, II, and I before. So I'm going on 40 years. And I can honestly say this is the first spring in my lifetime that at this time of the year, I've never been in a gym. So it's different, but we all understand it. The hardest thing for me right now is not having like the physical day-to-day contact with your players. Everything is through text, cell phone, Zoom. So our strength and conditioning coach, Adam, we've sent the players kind of a full body workout program. Now you got to understand, everything's been closed throughout the nation. Gyms, workout facilities, weightlifting facilities. So some kids don't have weights. Some do. Some might have a treadmill in their house. So right now, I think the most, and I learned this probably 25, 30 years ago when I became an assistant at Boston University. It was my first assistant's job in Division I. Mike Jarvis, the former head coach at Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School. He coached Patrick Ewing. He coached Ramil Robinson. Some of the guys, Tom Horn, Ronnie Lane, you might remember those great Cambridge Ringe and Latin teams back in the years. Patrick Ewing. When I started working for Mike, when he was a high school coach, they had no strength program. And he had this thing where his players had to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups every day. So what I'm telling our players right now is, listen, just do some physical activity. But the most important thing is they got to stay safe. They've got to stay healthy. I'm not concerned about the basketball right now. At this particular moment, I'm really not. I think right now, from everything that we're hearing, I'm not sure, and this is not, concrete. Everything's kind of day to day right now. I'm not sure that the campus will be open for us to come back this summer. We got to think safety first. From what I am understanding, and I don't want to speak out of school, I'm not a spokesman for the university tonight. I'm not. I think the university is trying to do everything in their power for school to start in September. I believe they are working very hard to do that. So I don't know physically the next time we're going to see our guys.
So since summer school is off the table in person, are you encouraging or talking about some online summer classes for the kids, or is it individual by individual?
Well, the NCAA changed that rule years ago, and it was a great rule where you could bring your kids for the summer. We have a summer session. It's 5 weeks. It was usually like mid to late June to mid to late July. And the great thing about it was you could take a class. The NCAA rules, the incoming freshmen had to take 2 classes. So you could get ahead with your academic work, your credits, your GPA. But it also allowed us as coaches to go into the gym with them. And we could start working in the summer. We had 8 hours a week, NCAA-wise, with weights and basketball. So right now, I think the players that are in good standing academically are probably not going to have to take a class. So and that's still up in the air, Murph, as far as academically, who's taking classes and who's not.
All right, I want to make sure we mention this tomorrow night at this time, which will be Wednesday for those watching on record, is that it's the senior showcase, the annual awards, and a couple of Wildcat men's basketball players up for some prestigious awards. You talked about Sean Sutherland earlier, and you didn't know what you had when you got him. but he's up for Performer of the Year. You coach a lot of players, Bill. Sean Sutherland's a pretty special one who came to the Wildcats, and he has a chance to win that award on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's he's one of the most unique players that I've coached in 30 years. He's like a 6'5" guard, but when you look at his numbers statistically, he has like power forward numbers. He averaged about 13 a game for us, and he averaged over 9 rebounds a game. I want to say he had 12, 13, 14 double-doubles this year. He's probably he's the best rebounding guard. I thought Jalen Smith was when we had Jalen a few years ago. Sean Sutherland he rebounds it like he's 6'9". It's just, I think, and when you look at our team this past year, our team rebounding statistics nationally were, off the charts. We ended the year, I think, second in defensive rebounds per game. We were highly ranked in rebound margin. So when you have 3, 4, 5 guys that can rebound the ball, it makes your team pretty special. Yeah, and I'll tell you, really, really hard worker. Probably the one maybe weakness of his game right now is he doesn't shoot the three great, but he doesn't take a lot of threes. He kind of knows that, but he's one of the hardest workers that we've had in the gym all the time. If he starts adding a 3-point shot to his game next year, he's going to be really, really tough to guard.
The other award a Wildcat men's basketball player is up for is the Jim Urquhart Student Athlete of the Year. That's the #1 award you can win at UNH. It's for a senior and Chris Lester. Interesting thing about Chris, you can talk about what he means to this year's team, but he's a senior. We're not done with him by a long shot, though, are we?
No, we're not. Chris Lester came in as a freshman a few years back now and had an injury and missed his entire freshman year. Then at the beginning of his sophomore year, he got hurt again. The NCAA rule is if you have 2 season-ending injuries at the same school in your career, you can petition for an extra year. Chris has come a long, long way as a player. We really like him. We like his skill. But I think when you talk about, everybody uses the word student athlete. Chris Lester, he's a terrific, terrific student. He's in the Paul Business School. He's getting his he's in the 1-year MBA program right now. So he still technically could have 2 more years of eligibility for us.
All right, another question that I'm not sure your screen is watching the message. I think there's a question popping up, so be careful. Bill, good job. How do we catch UVM?
Is that what it says?
Yes. Thank you. That was Tom on his iPad.
Tom, I'll tell you, Tom, no, that's an excellent question. It really is. I think as a coach, and I've been in the America East Conference as an assistant, as a head coach at Drexel, as a head coach at UNH for about 25 years. I've got great respect for the run that Vermont has. I think to do what they've done at our level and sustain it over a long period of time is unbelievable. Yeah, they're the team to beat, Tom. It's I've told our guys, this past year we had to get better than the year before. We had to get better defensively. We were a very, very good defensive team this year. I think that's why it helped us turn the corner and become a better basketball team. Our defensive numbers, field goal percent defense, were very good. Not as good as Vermont's. And I told our team that if we're ever going to try to win a championship here at UNH, at the end of you have to be an elite defensive team. And Vermont has been an elite. I don't know if Vermont was as good collectively offensively this year as some of their teams in the past, but they were great defensively. So that's our goal, Tom. I know we keep talking about it. We think we have the pieces in place right now and the returning players with experience. Now we're going from young to being, sophomores, juniors, seniors. And we think we're as close now to giving this thing a run as we have in a while. So you're dead on, Tom. I mean, they're the measuring stick in this league. At some point, somebody's got to beat them.
On the topic of returning players, Coach, and hearing the Chris Lester story reminds us we haven't seen Blondo or Nick since their injuries. Can you update us on how their rehab is going and when we can expect to see them?
Yeah, I think when you look at our team and what we have coming back, we have technically our starting five back. I'm not saying that's going to be the starting five, going into next year. Whether you start Jaden Martinez or Nick Guadarrama, we rotated Jaden, Nick Guadarrama, and Chris Lester kind of at the 4 and 5 a lot this year. We think Meekness Payne, he's going to be a junior next year. He had a year under his belt and is going to be much better a year from now. I think what people forget is, Blondo was a freshman point guard this past year out of Montreal, about 6 feet tall. And about the 7th game of the year, we were playing right after Thanksgiving down at Florida International, and he went down with a really tough knee injury. He ruptured his patella tendon. As a staff, we think he's going to be really, really good. It hurt our depth, obviously, in the backcourt when he went down. And then Marquis Maltsby kind of got handed the ball for the rest of the year. And then Marquis made great strides as a sophomore. Nick Johnson tore his ACL in summer school the year before. So when you look at our returning players, when you look at the recruiting class, I think a lot of people forget, Blondo and Nick Johnson are going to be healthy next year, and they're two really good players. And I think it's just going to really add to our depth and make us a much better basketball team.
A few people have asked about a look ahead in terms of what can you tell us about the schedule, especially non-conference opponents who could be on tap?
Yeah. Well, yeah, here, right now in the non-conference at home, we have Quinnipiac. We went down there last year. They're coming back. We've got Central Connecticut coming back. We've got to go to Holy Cross. It's our turn to go to Dartmouth. And we're playing a game down at Drexel down in Philadelphia in December. We are playing in one of those MTE kind of 3-team tournaments at Brown, right? It's Brown, ourselves, BU, and we're waiting on who the 4th team is going to be. I think it's great. We'll go down to Providence. It's not a long trip. We'll play 3 straight days, 3 games, then we'll turn around and come home. We obviously have to play what's called money games and guarantee games. And especially with what we're going through right now with the pandemic and just the financial impact that this is having on everybody, not just UNH, not just athletics. We're going to have to play a 4th guarantee. And I'm totally on. It's the right thing to do. Right now we have a signed contract with VCU. We're going down to Virginia Commonwealth. And we think we're going to open up the season at NC State. Josh Hopkins is from Greensboro, North Carolina. Marquis Maltsby's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Quan Murphy's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Not that he's going to be eligible to play. It's a game to get Josh Hopkins and Marquis back down to close to home. So we still have to get 2 more, but these money games they take for a while to get going. So that's kind of where the schedule's at right now.
And you mentioned Murphy can't play next year. Matos, as also a transfer, can't play next year. In the future, though, Coach, it looks like that rule will change, at least on the surface. It's not going to happen this coming year, but the one-time transfer rule that could be headed our way, what do you think that will mean to UNH basketball?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody understands out there what was going on with the NCAA. I think some of the higher Power 5 conferences proposed to the NCAA to, the rule has always been when you transfer Division I to Division I, or if you transferred from a Division II or III school up to Division I, you had to sit out a year. That's always been the rule. The proposal was if you transfer once, like Division I to Division I to another school, you could be eligible immediately. I think the conferences like at our level, and there's many of them, we felt that that was a really, really bad rule if it went through. It did not go through. The NCAA did not vote on it last week. I think they're going to put it off for a year. But I think a lot of coaches at our level, it's hard enough right now with like the 1-year grad transfer rule. Like if you have a really good player who's had a really good career and he graduates, say, in 3 years and has 1 year of eligibility left, they can transfer to another school. And, you know, and at our level, you know, if we lose a real impact player, an impact player to transfer, it kind of decimates, you know, we just can't, we're not like Duke, we're not like Carolina, we're not like Kansas, we're not like Kentucky. We can't just go grab another guy. And we felt with the rule of transferring and being eligible immediately, it would really hurt our level because upper level schools, you know, would be basically recruiting our league, if you're with me. And so we're very happy that rule did not go through. I think it's going to discourage some kids, you know, from thinking about transferring.
We've had about 50 people on and off during this call, and I just want to remind people, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat function on the bottom. We'll try to get to as many questions as possible, and we have only a few more minutes left. You've mentioned the guarantee games. We all know that COVID has devastated the entire nation, so there's a financial impact. What can you share as far as the financial ramifications of what we're going through right now?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of stuff is going to be different, you know, if and when we come back and we can get together as, you know, an athletic department, as a university, and we start playing sports again. I think you have to take a close look at travel. I don't know. I mean, you want to get new uniforms, you might have to put that off for a year. I'm just throwing things out there. There's going to be a lot. That's why when Marty Scarano and Michelle Bronner came to me and said, listen, you have to play another money, I said, I'm on board. Whatever we can do to help this department, we have to do. Yeah, it's going to be different. I think the great thing, the positive thing about being up here in New England, as a lot of you all know, is that from a non-conference standpoint, scheduling, there's a lot of New England teams that you can play. So I think that kind of cuts down on travel, you know. But I think you got to look at, you know, we've made great strides. I saw on Twitter, a Vermont Twitter, the other day, that over the last 8 years in the America East, we are fourth in the America East in America East wins in our league, behind Vermont, Stony Brook, Albany. You know, we've won 56 home games, you know, over the last 4 years. So we've proven that we can win at home. We made a huge jump in our NCAA kind of net rating, like the RPI, from the previous year to this year. You know, I hope that, you know, I think we're going to have a good enough team that maybe we can make some of this up, depending on, you know, what the guidelines are going to be as far as allowing people to come to games, from that standpoint. So, yeah, the financial ramifications are huge. You know, we're giving a scholarship up. I think that's a sacrifice. But again, this isn't about me. It's not about my program. It's about us. This is about us. It's about UNH. It's about everybody that's played here. It's about the current players. It's about all of us. And that's, I think, what we all have to keep in mind here as we go through this. This is not singular at all. We're going to be fine in our basketball pro. Guess what? You need a shirt, a pair of shorts, a pair of socks, sneakers, and a basketball. And when they the teaching and the coaching is not going to change how we play this game. And when they throw that ball up, it doesn't matter. We're going to play. We're going to play, and hopefully we're going to have a good enough team next year that, you know, we can be a positive for this community, and maybe they can rally around us.
I'm going to bring in another guest for this next question because there are such tremendous questions, and coming up is a pretty big deal with the 603 challenge. But Norm Jones, one of the alums, he put it great. His question, and I'll read it verbatim here. He says, a coach going forward, how can we as former players, supporters, help you in the program in the future? And Coach, after you answer, I'm going to bring in Jack Burns in the class of 82, who can also give a pretty good answer to that question. So Coach, how about you start out if you don't mind?
Hey, Norm, I'm really glad you're on. I hope you're doing well. And like I said, Norm, it's it's tough times. It's tough times, and a lot of you have been great supporters of our basketball program in the university, and I just want to let you know how much we truly appreciate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Jack. Everybody's got Jack Burns has joined us the last 2 or 3 years and has really spearheaded our 603 challenge and alumni, basketball alumni relations. And I want Jack to kind of, speak more on it, Jack, if you feel comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. First off, Mike and Billy, thank you very much. This is, I wasn't sure how this was going to go. This is fantastic. And I really appreciate the update and the information. And I think it's really, really helpful. And Paul Bamford and I have been working together. I've just joined Paul's efforts over the last couple of years. He's been there for an awfully long time. And there's some other key players as well. But partnering with Paul and Brenda, Danny, Kevin from that office, there's a lot of things that we're trying to do to encourage folks to re-engage and participate. We got a big one coming up, and I know, and Billy said it beautifully, that we have to keep things in perspective. And basketball is certainly important, but on the level of things, there's a lot of other things going on that are much more important. With that said, there's an awful lot of pressure on the program, and anything that we can do as far as fundraising and supporting financially. The 603 challenge was delayed. It was supposed to happen in April, and for really good reasons, it didn't. This is a really strange time to ask folks for money, but May 29th to June 3rd, we will have the university-wide 603 challenge, and I'm really hoping that folks, if you can do it, donate early, because there's matching funds. The first $200,000 up to $200 per person. We can double that money to help support what Billy and all the coaches and all the staff are trying to do. And if we can hit some certain goals, and we're still kind of working through trying to figure out what the goals, we have potential for some bonuses, because we have some very generous hoop alums that are going to put some money up. And if we can hit some numbers, and we're still working on some of those numbers at this point, again, a really strange time. And Paul and I were talking about it earlier today, to be asking, but we have to, and we got to keep moving forward, and we got to keep developing this. And there's a lot of great student athletes, and we'll keep trying to come up with ways to provide all of you the opportunity to visit with the players. But thank you, Mike. Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate it. And Mike, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thanks, Jack. That's straight from Thompson Hall, so you know it means a lot. When, but in the meantime, it has been great. It's been a lot of fun. And Bill, I'll just let you kind of say the farewell message to everybody who's taken the time, their evening, to be with us.
Yeah, like I said when we started, all we wanted to do with this was, I just felt that, we've all been with the stay at home. We've all been going through the social distancing. We've all been kind of in our houses. And I think we all kind of need an outlet at times. And I just felt like, okay, if we just connect, we just wanted to give this a shot to see where it would go. I wanted to give you basketball information, because, we do have a lot of you that really, really care about our basketball program. The exciting thing I think that we have going right now, guys, is that we have basically our whole team returning next year. I really like this team. I like the guys we have coming back. I think we have the program in a really good spot. What I can promise you is, when the day comes, and we don't know when that's going to be, I might not see our guys physically till we start classes in September. That's a long time to go without really having any contact with your players. But when we get back, I think we're going to be fortunate for what we have, and we're going to have a good basketball team next year. Our goals do not change. Our goals are to try to win the America East Championship. And like Tom Horn said in his question, how do you beat Vermont? And he's dead on. I mean, they're the measuring stick in this league. A concern that you have, I think when you look at, after your season's over and you go on spring break and then the kids come back for the rest of the semester in the spring, the thing that you emphasize as a coach is probably 2 or 3 things. Number one, their physical, we were, before we left for spring break, the main emphasis when we got back was we got to get in the weight room right away, and we've got to continue to physically develop our bodies. That was number one. Number two, you take that time in the spring for individual development, skill work as players, make your game better. I think what's going to happen is when we do come back, whenever that is, say it's September, I mean, we're going to have to get right to work on conditioning and getting in the weight room, but we will be ready to play. Like I said, it's not going to be the same thing for all of us. I'm not talking about basketball. I'm talking the whole athletic department. I'm talking the university. I'm talking all the other sports. It is going to be different. And I think we all have to understand that. I think there's going to be somewhat of a healing process that we're all going to have to go through this year, and just keep things really, really in perspective. That's, I think, all I can tell you. We are still working here. We're in contact with our players every week. I think they're trying to do what they can with what they're allowed to do at home. And, we're going to be ready to go. Like I said, this is the first spring in 40 years of my basketball life as a coach that I have not been on a court. And I think most of you that know me, that's where I kind of live, man. I'm a gym rat. But right now things have changed, and we all have to adjust to it.